welcome to our Ask ANOVA session here with ANOVA Human Capital Solutions. My name is Callie Sequeira. I am a client experience specialist with extensive experience in HR and compliance. I'm based in the Boston, Massachusetts area, and I'll allow Adrienne to introduce herself as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Callie. Again, my name is Adrienne Davis. I am the founder of ANOVA Human Capital Solutions, also strategist for the company. Have extensive experience with human resources, management, and business metrics. We are here to help our clients to assist them with being the company and employer of choice. As an HR manager / consultant, I've helped a lot of companies along the way with compliance and employee engagement, attracting top talent, and now helping clients thrive with our HR metrics. So looking forward to connecting with everybody more in person. Thank you.
So today we are here to kind of answer a few questions that we've gotten within client meetings, via email, via phone, and a quick disclaimer, our HR team offers guidance on employee relations and compliance matters. However, we are not attorneys and do not provide legal advice. For legal issues, please consult with a qualified legal counsel. However, we're here to kind of talk through those issues from an HR perspective. And so without further ado, Adrienne, are you ready to get started?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So one of our first questions hinges on performance reviews. So we'd like to talk a little bit about how frequently we're supposed to be doing these reviews. Is it just a singular review that we're doing in a year, and kind of what's the structure? What are we actually reviewing?
Oh, absolutely. That's one question a lot of companies they are still asking. Do we still complete performance metrics? And yes, the answer is we need to make sure that we are engaging with our employees. There's been a lot of companies who, of course, since COVID, they actually have stopped tying metrics because usually metrics are another way for an employee to receive an increase in pay and compensation based upon how they are actually doing at their current company. However, sometimes naturally, performance metrics should not always be tied to compensation. Performance metrics is just another way to kind of check in with an employee and to let them know how they are actually performing at the company level. Annual increases, some companies give annual increases every January, but relatively, it is always best, regardless if that employee is receiving that increase at that point in time, maybe it's their annual review, but we should always check in with that employee, let them know how the health of that employee is doing at the company level. When I talk about health, it basically means performance metrics. And then just having that one-on-one conversation with them, just knowing that there's engagement from the manager level to the employee level. We need to always have that employee feel that there is that engagement and that the manager is always looking up for their success, and anything that employee actually needs to grow with the company. We always have the solution of training and development and actual engagement for that employee. So yes, absolutely, always connect with that employee, whether it's at an annual level, or especially for a new employee, we want to know it, and we want to let that employee know how they are actually doing. We want to kind of connect with them within 45 days, even 90 days, and ensure that that employee is actually succeeding in their role. What tools do we need to give them when they're starting with a company? Not only what tools they are needing, but how can we successfully make that employee, support the company and being as proficient and efficient in their role. And again, if that employee does not make it within that time span, we should really know if that's going to be the good choice and the good employee moving forward for that particular position. So we really want to tie in 45, 90-day check-ins with that employee, letting them know how they are doing, the success of that employee, if it's a new employee, 45, 90 days. And again, we either need to move forward with that employee, offering them more training and support, or separating that employee from the company.
Awesome. Thank you, Adrian. And I completely agree. And I think it's important to create very specific metrics, especially for new employees. So, are there other ways? We'd love to talk about other ways to that we can measure, maybe not performance, but reviewing, both from the employee's viewpoint and them being able to review the company and review their managers, and vice versa for managers to review employees. And we want to gauge how employees feel about the company that they work for, about the role that they have, about how they're being led. And so, do you want to talk a little bit about, maybe how a survey or something similar to that could help us to reach that goal?
Oh, absolutely. We always want to tie in engagement surveys to employees. We want to know, again, we always are going to talk about the health of the organization, the health of the employee. And that basically means the performance of both. So the engagement process always lets us know how we are doing. How is the company doing based upon the employee feedback? Employee engagement surveys are wonderful to have just so we can actually know if we're doing the right things. Sometimes we're tying in total reward packages, tying in, again, incentives, bonus structures, and training development. What is that employee actually looking for in that particular company organization, and how they are going to grow and not be disillusioned, but be engaged? And again, engagement surveys can always tie in the health of the organization. What other metrics, what other benefits can we offer that employee? One thing that's always starting off with the onboarding, we always want to make sure that, again, onboarding is how we do well with onboarding, is how that employee will remain with the company. So starting with a new employee, we want to make sure that we have a robust benefit package, or being able to offer them any of the training and development that they're going to be needing moving forward. So again, engagement surveys, we always want to tie in and try to do that on an annual basis, because things change. Sometimes positions change, new hires. Then we have, maybe employees are retiring. So we have employees going to the next position. And maybe there was something that we did not do. Maybe there was not a great succession planning for that employee going into that other role. So we kind of, again, want to make sure that we're always looking at the health of the organization, and we're trying, and again, offering those robust benefit packages and training development for those employees.
Yes, absolutely. And looking at that year over year as well is going to be really important to know and understand the progress that you've made, both for internal growth, just within leadership, and to be able to share with employees, hey, we heard you. We understand that these are the trends that we saw that could use improvement last year. And here are the ways that we have worked to improve upon those metrics. So that's a really important part of employee health, and ensuring that employees are engaged and successful within their roles. So moving on from performance and reviews, we have a certain situation maybe where an employer has an employee with a sick family member. And they're wondering what the options are for this employee. Now, say the employer is in Connecticut, so we understand that there are different state leaves and everything, but this employee has a sick family member and is wondering what their options are for taking time off to care for that family member. Can you just go through what that process looks like and how ANOVA might be involved in that process?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And again, so if an employee needs to take time off for one of their members, two things: we want to know how big the company organization is, if they follow the FMLA guidance. If they are following FMLA, then we would, what ANOVA actually does is we not only manage the FMLA process with the client themselves, we want to make sure we give the employee all the all the information that they need, all the posters, the designation forms, the rights and responsibilities, notice of rights and responsibilities, excuse me. And then we also want to assist that company with the Connecticut paid leave, hoping that that employee is eligible for FMLA. Again, we would give all the guidance and all the documentation to that particular employee, and then we would assist them with the Connecticut paid leave documentation. The employer still has to sign and approve each particular FMLA, but again, we are the ones who would see to manage that. Now, for employees who are not eligible for FMLA, and that employee is still eligible for Connecticut paid leave. However, it gets to be a little tricky in Connecticut because Connecticut does not have job protected leave. So that's something that we would have to discuss with the employer, making sure they have a robust leave policy. We always want to show our due diligence with our clients and our employees. So that is something that we would have again, a robust policy just to show good faith and to support our employees when they need to take a leave of absence.
Awesome. Thank you. Another question that we received was more geared toward turnover. And I know we talked about how important it is for employee engagement and surveying employees, and that can be a solution. But what are other solutions that you've found for high turnover in a company?
Again, exit surveys are so important to conduct every time an employee leaves the company. Sometimes we find a lot of information just by completing an exit interview. Sometimes we find that we have some managers who need to still develop leadership skills. And then sometimes we find employees who, again, maybe they're leaving for a better opportunity for growth. Maybe they're just stuck in a role that they can't advance into the next role. But again, exit interviews are so important to have, and being able to compile a turnover report on an annual basis, but being able to go back and if there's anything that was stated during that exit interview, we should always do our due diligence to go ahead and investigate anything and everything. So if an employee said, well, there was a manager that, just did not feel comfortable with, poor leadership skill set. I mean, not that we're gonna, how I say, what we really always want to do is let's just say this. We always want to go ahead and train and develop our leaders. Maybe they do lack on training and that's something that we can always help. Even at ANOVA, we can train leaders to do their job to the best of their ability and to ours. So again, we want a company to emulate employer of choice. We want to have the robust leaders. We want employees to be engaged. So again, it all kinds of ties into everything, engagement and turnover metrics, turnover surveys. That is how we would go ahead and conduct and help our clients moving forward.
Awesome. And can you talk a little bit about how compensation might be linked to turnover as well?
Oh, absolutely. And that's kind of great that you just brought that up because we just completed a competitive market analysis for one of our clients. And they are not paying based on average rate for that particular position. And what we like to do is we always like to conduct competitive market analysis. Things change even every year. We could have a landscaper making $17 an hour, but in their actual community, their going rate is 19.50. How can you compete from one company that's starting at 17 to a company that's offering and starting at 19.50 in this day and age, and how things have changed in the market at this point in time? People will leave for 50 cents. So that's why we really have to do, again, our due diligence is my big word today. Is ensuring that we are completing a market analysis for our clients, just so they can not only obtain but retain their employees.
Awesome. Thank you. So moving on from that topic, we do have another, or we have received some other questions about attendance. So by that, I mean that includes tardiness, that includes, tardiness or absenteeism with notification, that includes no call, no show. Do you have any insight on improving attendance and or creating policies and procedures for when an employee is tardy or absent? What has been your experience and what's your insight?
Oh, yes. So basically, what we want to do is address these issues promptly. We want to make sure we have a robust attendance policy that everybody has not only signed off on and is able to acknowledge that policy, but is aware of that policy. We always want to follow up with our employees. And then if we do have that absenteeism policy, we kind of always want to make sure that we are addressing that with documentation. The importance of punctuality and reliable attendance for our position can really impact our productivity from the organization standpoint. So again, having a nice robust policy, nipping that in the bud, having the documentation process, and not only that, but again, we just want to make sure that, if there's an issue where reason why that employee is not able to go ahead and to make that time slot, if there's any flexibility in their schedule. If not, then that's fine. That's what the employee has signed up to do, is to come and report to work at a specific time and end at a specific time. But again, there's always going to be those consequences. And again, working with our clients to ensure that they have a great, robust attendance policy. And if not, if that employee just can't do it, and that's their choice, they just choose not to report to work in a timely manner, then that's when we proceed with the progressive discipline process.
Wonderful. Thank you for going through that process with us. So generally with compliance, I know things are changing all the time, and we generally recommend a handbook update at least annually. But what can we expect from ANOVA in terms of other updates simply for leadership? Maybe it won't go out in a handbook until the annual release. But what can we expect from ANOVA in terms of updating companies on compliance?
Right. And again, handbooks are kind of difficult to manage sometimes because there's so many mandates, and based on how many states an employer is conducting business in, and if they have remote employees, again, we have to do our research in each particular state and update all those mandates for the employees to go ahead and be aware of. But yes, there are always, it seems like every year, either January or even mid-year, there's always going to be updates and compliance changes that our employees need to be aware of. So whether it's paid leave or if it's training, sometimes sexual harassment training changes for each state. Any discrimination compliance metrics that we would have to go ahead and tie in with not only the EEO, but any annual review or mid-year review, we would have to, assign to that employee, assign that training to that employee, update the posters for those employees, especially if they're remote, and
Mhm.
then be able to go ahead and educate those employees in the best manner we can. But again, there's a lot of updates and compliance, so we have to be on top of that. And I think that's one thing that companies do struggle with. There's so many changes in the paid leave platforms, the sick leave platform, excuse me, and the training, what is mandated, what's not. And again, just making sure that even payroll components, that our clients have to be, and one thing we do is we advise our clients on any time there's a mandate change. So or a new mandate, excuse me. So yes, we need to make sure that our clients are aware, and then we do send them updated documentation and updated policies once we receive that information.
Great. It's good to know that clients can expect very frequent updates because, like you said, it does happen so often that we get new regulations.
Right.
And with that, making sure that we're compliant and up to date. I also would like to talk a little bit about auditing because we have gotten some questions on that and kind of what our audit entails. And that might vary as we've experienced from industry to industry, but generally baseline audit, what are we going in and looking for with a company?
Wow, you're so correct, because based on each particular industry, things completely change from starting from training to like what is mandated training for that particular position or that particular industry, and from OSHA to educational to safe environment training to there's so much. So basically what we do is we do perform an extensive audit for our clients. One is again, what is the industry? What are the mandates for that particular industry? What are the mandates training for that industry? Based on where's that location? Is that a Connecticut location? Is that a Massachusetts location? What are the application? Excuse me, what does it look like on the application? Do we have to ban the box salary requirements? What is it that is necessary for even that particular application? So when we conduct an audit, we start from pre-boarding and we actually go all the way to termination, anything in between, starting from pre-boarding to onboarding to benefits. Are you sending out those Form 5500s? Is that company sending the 401k notices for those employees? And not only that, looking at wage compensation. Are we having, again, do we have a fair wage practice in place? And then not only that, but termination. What documentations did you send when that particular employee was terminated? Did you send a letter, an unemployment notice? And not only that, the training requirements, looking at the whole personnel record itself. It's very extensive. Even just looking at an I-9 audit, you would be amazed how many I-9 how many I-9s are not completed correctly. And those are, just one I-9 can lead a company's organization with such high penalties and fines. And that's something we do not want our clients to have to pay out, is fines and penalties. So that's why we do a very thorough and detailed audit for our clients so that they can ensure and know that they are in compliance moving forward. So, yes, it's quite extensive. It is timely, but there's a reason for it. And it's just because we want to make sure that our clients do not have to pay any hefty penalties and fines.
Wonderful. Going off of that and, maybe industry specific training, company specific training, what kind of training can ANOVA provide? And if ANOVA can't provide it, is there a way that they can assist the company with their own training? And I can help answer this one too. ANOVA does have our own training platform, which has been very instrumental to us with assisting companies with their specific training. So if there's training that's required for the industry, for the company, for new hires annually by the state, whatever it might be, for the most part, we are able to provide that training already within our platform. On the other side of that, we do have the capability to create our own training within that platform. So if there is specific training that the company has created that they would like to assign to maybe a new hire or annually to their employees, we're able to go ahead, put that into our system and assign that to employees. And additionally, we really are passionate about continued education and growing employees and growing managers especially. And so we have other courses within that software that we like to talk to leadership about and say, what are your managers lacking in? How can we create this course path for them? I think path is the word that we have to make them a better manager, to really grow those skills and to get the most out of what ANOVA offers. And we've seen great success with improving management skills, improving any leadership skills, even how to run a meeting. So we have those available as well. Adrian, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I love that you said that it's that path. It's, everyone is on their own path. Basically, you started a new role at a new company, and it's your path. And what our role is to make sure that you're successful at your job. Great leaders ensure that their employees are successful, knowing that they have all the tools to be successful. And again, like you said, their path, we should be able to assign the training that is very specific to that employee's needs, and ensuring that they are going to be successful, because once they are successful in their role, that helps our organization become successful. And so I really like the way you said that. That's exactly what we want to do, is make sure that everybody in that particular role is successful, because once they are, we are.
Absolutely. And I think that goes back to the notion that everything is connected within HR, within the services that ANOVA provides. We're doing one thing to benefit another, to lead us into another. We're onboarding employees to train them, to have performance reviews, to help them become better, to promote them. That leads into succession planning. We're ensuring that employees are well taken care of. And one of the pillars of ANOVA being an employer of choice, we're trying to ensure that companies are a place that employees want to work. And whether that be in ways such as providing unique benefits, and we can also work with companies to research benefits that maybe don't have a high cost associated with them, but still show employees how much that company cares. And overall, like I said, I think that everything that we provide is very interconnected, and you can't really have one without the other, right? So
Great.
those are the majority of questions that we have had come through recently. I know that we will be doing our Ask ANOVA sessions on a weekly basis, Mondays at 10. Adrian, was there anything else that you wanted to add to this session?
No, I mean, seriously, just keep asking, just sending us your questions, and we are going to try to reach out to you, and, give those answers over here during our meetings. But realistically, just keep sending those questions, because it's kind of a great topic, and just being able to have that discussion with anyone. No, I think that's good. Thank you, everyone, for asking ANOVA, and hoping to be connecting with you shortly.
We'll see you soon. Thanks, Adrian.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.